This is brutal power wrapped in an elegant machine.
Video I'm going to show you how to do your movements and how to calculate the cost for that. There's several ways you can do it. The first way I'll show you is doing it dynamically, so that you do it during the month and make sure that, you know, when a horse is moved, that you put that task into Prism. There's a cost associated with it. The task happens and then the movement is done. The cost is calculated accordingly. So if we look at this horse, Dan's Ripper, it's been spelling, and we then want to create a task to bring it back into work. So we create a movement, and we select the horse, the time, or the date when we want it to come back in. So assuming this was on the 6th of November that we did this, you can then select from the existing thing. So we'd send it here, bring it back into Braidwood. You can then select the status, so that would be full training. You don't want to change the location and status and just want to do the movement. What would happen here is that we're going to do the movement, and the system will then start charging that horse the day rate for Braidwood full training. If you don't want that to happen, click don't adjust location and status. You'll still record the movement, and if there's a cost associated with that movement, it'll record it. However, the location and status won't change. The other thing to remember there is that once you click this, the next time you do it, the system will remember the last click or not click, and that will be the default position. But in this case, we'll take it off. We'll create that task. So that's in there. We'll then assume that that's happened, mark it as complete, so we'll say that it happened at the date. Save, and then this will obviously change the day rate. So if you go to finance, transaction, we'll just do you can see that it was spelling at Wog Wog, then in the transport, which we had calculated, and then it's now changed to the new day rate. So that's basically creating one movement to automate all of the costs associated with that change. The other way you can do it is to do it manually. So a more traditional way of doing it, where you would have got the invoice from the transport company at the end of the month and just basically put everything in through the month. The easiest way to show that is when you want to, obviously you want to keep track of where your horses are during the month. So whenever they change, or so if a horse comes in or if it gets tipped out, you can do that through either in the horse profile page. You can basically edit the location. So this one was at Braidwood. You can then tip it out again and put in the dates. This is obviously the present date, so that will take precedence, and it obviously changes the day rate for you. So that'll then change there. We're back adjusting 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. But there's obviously no movement associated with that, or a floating charge. What you can then do is, when you get your bill at the end of the month, create a group expense. So you have country transport. You can put in the invoice number. It's for movements. If you want to track the payables, you can. Again, that's up to you, but check with your financial advisor. And then you simply add in your expenses. So exceptional rhythm went from that one on the 27th. So and then that'll capture that expense. And obviously you just keep going through and adding whatever other expenses there are. You can do it manually like we're about to do here. Or you can do it simply from the drop down when you set your presets. I'll just get rid of this one. Once that's all done, and you've obviously got all your other expenses in there, you just click save. There's no need to create a task related to that expense because you're just trying to actually calculate the recoverable charge. So click no. That then creates the line item here. So 27th, 115 matches up with the changes in the day rates. So that's the way to do it in a traditional sense. Remembering that if you do it this way, you manage your location and status via the horse profile, and you just have to keep updating the horses here or here, and then obviously adding in your recoverable expenses one by one, or the other way, which is recommended but obviously takes a little bit more work up front and a little bit more management day to day, but will invariably save you time, is to do it in the automated fashion. Every stable is different. It's really up to you. Talk to your financial advisor about what the best process is, but there are obviously several ways that you can do it.